At the workshops that I used to run at the dementia units, the dementia residents used to say, you don't need a memory here. Everything's done for you. It's the same thing day after day. Everything's a repetition. All your cares, all your routine, everything's looked after. So you don't need to think. You can virtually stop living. And so I said to them, well, how do you manage then to keep up with things? And they said two things. Firstly, you've got to keep up with the news, the press, reading, anything that's newsworthy, literature. You've got to keep the cognition going. That's the first thing. And the second thing they said is communication with each other. Friendships, communication and knowledge, because you share knowledge and information with each other, and that in itself is learning and a form of education, and a good form of education in a dementia unit, in fact. So these residents were remarkably resourceful in the way they managed to be able to live their lives at a dementia unit and remain stable, actually. So the other thing they used to do that helped a lot, they said the third thing really was establishing a routine for yourself, establishing a routine that works for you, even though the routine is all set up in terms of breakfast at a certain time, lunch and dinner at a certain time, all activities, etc. Within that, you have some liberty. You don't have to go to all the activities. You can choose which ones you want to go to. And if you're in the middle of an activity, you're not enjoying it, you can go off to your bedroom if you wish, if you know how to find it. That's the big thing. For independence, autonomy and choice in your routine and daily schedule at a dementia unit, you need to know where your bedroom is in order to have that direction, orientation and choice and ability to go there when you choose. That's why it's so important. Now, I've gone into this in length in other videos, but the most important thing is door identifiability with the name and number, large big letters at the eye level of the resident so they can identify their door, and lots of practice runs so that they, get into the routine of where their room is. And once the staff start to help with that, often with a little sticker with their name and room number on it, then they can just go along the doors, read their name and number, match it to the door, and when they come to their door, eventually knowing that it's theirs. Some dementia residents get around this more resourcefully than others. For example, there was one dementia resident. He was a tall, commanding guy. He had a commanding presence. He was a tall, broad-shouldered man, commanding presence. He'd been in the forces and he'd been a hard-working man all his life. And so because of his commanding presence, he tended to be able to access the attention of staff a lot more quickly than if you're a little old 90-year-old lady on a walking frame trying to speak up. You're not as likely to be heard as a tall, strong man with a deep, powerful, carrying voice. In fact, he used to help a lot of the other ladies a lot of the time when they weren't being heard. He'd, pipe up and say, this woman's wanting that, or this lady's wanting that. And he was very good at being able to sort of vocalize the needs and wishes of the other ladies and alerting the staff of the importance of their needs. But he himself had very poor direction orientation. He could barely find his room. And it was a long way, right at the end of the corridor. So he really had to navigate, right to the end to be able to find his room, which he didn't really master that. But because he had such a charismatic personality, anyone that was on the corridor route, whether it was staff member, resident, relative, didn't matter who, he did. Oh, can you tell me where my room is? Where's my room? Tell me. And he was very friendly and chatty about it. He didn't get all stressed and disturbed, as lots of other residents do. And because he was friendly, of course, people would succumb and staff would, put their cares on hold and take him along to his room. But if you're a woman who is escalated, anxious, shouting out, calling out, you may not be as likely to get the same level of help as if you're being pleasant and positive about it. I mean, personality comes into everything, doesn't it? Including being at a dementia unit. So these are the ways that people manage living in a unit. All the cares are done, memory's not needed, but certainly resilience of character, creativity and problem solving is. And if information comes in, if they're reading and engaged in the activities, if they're communicating with each other, if they can develop their own routine, find their own room and make friends, then they can have this quality of life as a result. So I've written about these topics at great length in both books, The Resident's Voice from a Dementia Unit and The Resident's Rise from a Dementia Unit. This book's all you need to know for a person going into a unit. There's really is a lot to know. So it's good to get this book and read it thoroughly. Even I'd say a month before a person goes into a dementia unit, there's that much to learn and set up and prepare for. And that way you'll find the transition much smoother. Really, otherwise it's just too much to get to know in a short space of time if you're not prepared. And this is all about how to help someone when they're in the dementia facility and potential problems that can arise, especially around emotional issues, depression, anxiety and anger. A lot can be done, and it is important to know how to help in a positive, practical way. So thank you for your support and your subscriptions. Please subscribe and pass on the links. Thank you.